Where are you?
I've left my apartment that I was renting for a bit, so I start my holiday tonight, pretty much, and uh, yeah, left the apartment that I was staying at a little early, so hence me being all over the fucking place this week. But it is what it is. Life happens sometimes, right?
Yeah, he's only an hour. He's in like we're on a cod.
Video games.
Remember them, do you?
I genuinely feel like I've grew up a lot since I've come here. Like I just barely touch them. I've been playing Fractured But Whole, South Park game.
There's not a lot of players in Australia.
No, well, there is, but you have to have like fucking shit hot internet to play it because the ping is 300 plus every single time if you're in Melbourne.
Well, I don't know where them two are. They're definitely mooching about. He said they both were on cod at 9:30.
You cannot rely on on the twins for sticking to their times. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, he's in my lobby, so like look at what's going on.
Welcome along to the Mackem Football Show, where we are extremely organised.
I don't know when you want to wait for them. What's pre-recorded like?
I started the recording. I can just trim bits out. Like that's the benefit of not being live. One thing I have been doing though, because you're not on camera, is been cutting out the bits where you go. It's just really interesting to learn each of our like verbal habits.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when you're teaching, so like you've got like nuances when you teach. I had one lad who used to teach me. He used to say okay a lot.
It's a verbal validation.
Should we just start then?
Yeah, why not? We've got two games to cover, and I know you didn't quite catch the Stoke game, but we have got the Stoke game and the Bristol City game. So first things first, drawing to Stoke. No, we beat Stoke and we drew to Bristol City. So go get that right in my head.
Just with Stoke 1-1.
That was it. That was it. You see what I mean? Like when you pick up on it, you do it again and again. So the Stoke game, 2-1 win at the Stadium of Light. A solid performance overall, but the initial start of it, wow, kind of sloppy for the goal that we conceded, but it was against the run of the play, right? It didn't feel like Stoke earned anything at that moment.
And the weather was grim.
Yep.
It was Storm Dara, I think it was. That was it. Tommy Watson with 2 goals goes on from the week before where we said he got man of the match against Sheffield. He steps up and gets 2 goals, so I'm happy for him on a personal level. But as far as I mean, a win's a win. 2-1's 2-1. You know what I mean? So I was happy with the points.
Yeah, fair enough. So I watched the whole game, and like I wouldn't say the vibe was off, but like you said, there was the weather there as well. Everybody was just a little bit cautious to start the game, and maybe that's how Stoke got ahead. We didn't really know how to react or interact with. It wasn't waterlogged, but it was it was definitely a swamp to run through.
So like it's part of the game, like the weather, and not a lot of people turned up. You know what I mean? It was a Saturday afternoon. I feel like when the stadium's empty, it's not as intimidating for the other teams. You know what I mean?
The fact that we're undefeated at the Stadium of Light still, and yeah, like you said, we'll get on to it in a bit about stadium and the capacity and the numbers that they're reporting. The atmosphere did feel a little bit off, and maybe it was because everybody was just trying to stay far away from the pitch itself just to stay dry. It kept us off the pace, but in
Yeah, I'm
terms,
glad it wasn't postponed.
yeah, oh yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
there was only a couple of games postponed, weren't there? There weren't that many.
Yeah, but I didn't want it. Like I heard a few been postponed. I was like, no, because I feel like if we have games backed up and there's pressure on us to win, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be good. Like so, I was happy it went forward. Like
Oh, me as well, mate. Because like I said, I'm just pulling up the Saturday's fixtures across the board. There was the Everton Liverpool game, of course, but in our league, the Plymouth Argyle and Oxford game was postponed. It could have been called off if the referee was being a bit like, I can't be asked to work today kind of vibe. But it wasn't unsafe. Everybody could get to the stadium, and other than it actually impacting how slow some of the players looked, because obviously it's heavy. It didn't really impact the game overall. I'd say a couple of players shone and a couple of players um didn't really take to the weather very well. But that again, that could be the individual game or could be just them at the moment, their form. So we just got to take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt.
Who was he man of the match? Was he?
Oh, Tommy Watson was definitely man of the match. I don't know what it is with our left wingers at the minute, but obviously Clark, Mundell, and Watson, they could all just be like the next best thing since sliced bread down the left wing for any team, and I think any team in the Premier League, to be honest, they're that good. Yeah, it was a fantastic performance from Watson. When we went behind, and I've got to say, I feel like it was a completely against the run of play, but not atypical of what we do. We just fall asleep for a couple of seconds. The centre backs weren't switched on at all, and
Was it a mistake?
I wouldn't say no. I think it was genuinely a good Stoke attack. I don't think there was a mistake. The mistake was probably in the midfield that allowed them to gain possession. But once they had possession, then they were never not going to score. It was just a case of I don't know, maybe on that one play itself, it did deserve a goal, but overall in the game, they didn't deserve the lead. Pretty much kick off, and then we level up with the Tommy Watson strike within I think it was like 72 seconds, something that short. It just got our tails up a little bit, and we were just like, we've got to switch on all day now. After we went 1-1, it was one, I'd say 100% Sunderland with maybe one or two Stoke counter attacks, but nothing as dangerous as their goal. The better team won. It is that simple.
But yeah, I get what you mean.
Also, Stoke are one of those teams that genuinely play better in bad weather. So, have you been to the Britannic or the Bet365 before?
I've never been there. No. Have you?
It's kind of engineered and designed to like be a wind funnel, so it'll allow people
Nice.
to like long ball it a bit better because they cut out the two corners and where the motorway is and what have you. It does act as like this weird amphitheater of just crap weather. So they normally would play better in the stormy conditions that they play at the stadium. I
Well,
just
the stadium well a bit, you know. I mean, not when the wind gets in there. I think like, probably every stadium, like you know. But obviously, we like seem like to pick up fucking rubbish and fucking plant it on the fucking pitches now. That
yeah, the chip back a tornado.
what I want to say about the Stoke game, we dug him out. That I didn't dig him out, like, but Patrick Roberts got an assist. So I feel like if you keep slagging players off every podcast, they might play good the next fucking games. You know what I mean?
It does seem to be a running theme. It's happened three times now, was it? First one was Meander. Then it was who was it?
Watson.
Then it was what? No, the Watson was the most recent one. Who was it before? Oh, Watson. Yeah, Watson. Then Roberts.
Isidore. Nah.
Now, to be fair, there is a player I want to highlight as being like he's been called out as being like fantastic and brilliant, but for me, I think he's just been okay. Job. Job has been okay in the middle of the park over the last two games since our last podcast. He's been okay in the Stoke game and okay in the Bristol City game. He didn't light the world on fire to me, and
A bit too long sometimes. He did against Bristol. But what I'd say about him in the midfield, they like them three together work.
yep,
Rig, Job, and Neil. I mean, it looked a more settled midfield. So I can't really, you know, feel like you could see everyone's performance now. And I think sometimes when people have a bad performance and you notice it, you tend to like look at them more and forget about players. Do you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
no one's ever certain hasn't had a stinker. Do you know what I mean? Yet, but maybe he'll have one and then we see, oh, he's had a few stinkers and then we start digging them out, but we forget about it. Which you're only as good as your last game. You know what I mean? That's a fact. So overall, as the team goes, I think Job, I think he improves it. You know, but on a sort of like personal assessment of him, I feel like sometimes he does hold on to the ball a bit too long. So he's going to be uber like picky,
critical.
but
Yeah.
I am happy with him, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, and like you said, if you're holding on to the ball too long, it's just not finding the right pass or the right movement. So a bit of a dynamic there. You mentioned about the trio. What do you think about Brown's place in that then? Because he was brought in to be the
Um,
mature head, right?
mhm.
So do we need
I
him?
like we still, yeah. Of course, we need another midfielder. Do you know what I mean? In case of injury or fucking suspension or whatever. So yeah, I feel like we still need depth because we're now looking at the bench. We've got injuries and people have been sick and that, and we're starting to struggle a little bit.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm not saying we're going to dip into the transfer market, but you can always improve. I feel the club, should recognise that if you want to move forward, you should never just like, oh, that's it for now. We don't need anyone. You should always be open to receive and sell players. And to just a point on that, Speakman did actually come out the other day saying that I think he listed off a few players that were no longer required. Barr was one of them. Bennett was another one. I can't remember the fucking list, but that came out that they can look for another club in January. There's about six of them.
Really? I've not seen this.
Yeah, it was social media sort of. I mean, it may be bullshit, like, but it looked legit. Like, I'll try and find it while you're talking.
That would be awesome because then, like you said, there is a lot of players that do give off that vibe, and we have brought up their names a couple of times. Adil Sheesh was one of them as well, but he's starting to come back into the squad, which is a really nice, healthy surprise. He played fantastic in the Bristol City game. He was awesome. Um, but he hasn't featured for the majority of the season for a reason, and that might be squad selection, squad depth, injuries, whatever. And he's the second, maybe third choice in that position. But when he came on, I think he's trying to prove himself, and that's what we want from our players. Players to constantly say, "Look, we want to wear the shirt, we want to play football, and we want to be here." If they're not like that and they're on that list, then get rid of them. We don't need under 23s, under 21s, academy players. We need players who want to play for the first team because I think we're uniquely placed in this country in the AFL of actively putting academy players, kids on the first team if they are ready now. Um, Watson's a good example. Riggs a good example. Job. There's a reason we've got the youngest squad in the championship, and we're high flying because we're looking for the aptitude and attitude of players with obviously a side of talent, but the drive to perform is what we want, not just to rock up to work. And there is some players in this league that are like that. They've got the talent, but they're just treating it like a job. It's not a passion for some players.
I've got the list here, but
Yep.
it's fucking Echo and a number of other websites. So these are
Hmm.
the January transfer window. These six players are made available by someone. Joe Anderson. Um, don't really know much about him. Zach Johnson,
Hmm.
Jason Bennett, obviously. Uh, Barr, O'Sheath, and Rusin. So they're all available to be bought or to look for another club in January. So
Okay.
that which is just they made
Yeah.
an assessment and they're not cutting the mustard, which fair enough. You know what I mean? I haven't, and not one of them players I thought, well, we need to keep him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, well, yeah, to be fair, none of them have been on the pitch that much. Rushin obviously scored the goal a couple of months ago at the tail end of last season to be the only striker to score. He was our first striker to score last season. It was like 30 games in. Um, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. The list, Adil Ashish, now that he's actually playing again, does a tiny bit, but if you said this like 2 weeks ago, I would have went, oh, that entire list makes complete sense. Um, so
I don't
John,
think he's playing because of like we're sort of struggling at the minute with injury and suspension.
yeah,
Maybe there's an element of that.
maybe, yeah, maybe. Like you said, we are struggling down that side, but it does make sense because he's an option. He is there. He's fit. He's not on loan. Um, Teo does surprise me. He's not on that list. And if he was here, we'd do loan shark. But
Yeah, yeah, but
Triantis,
I don't know. Maybe they're looking for another full season and a better return on Triantis. you know what
Mm.
I mean?
Yeah,
Maybe. Look, Speakman's obviously fucking, like I said, he's a bit of a gambler, and he takes a punt on things, and if it doesn't work, he fucking puts it. So he's sort of got it right. I'd say 90% of the time.
yeah,
So can't really argue with his decision to put them on a transfer market.
fair, mate, fair. It's very rare though that clubs put their players that publicly on the transfer list. So is there because I don't know why, but this reminds me of like playing Football Manager and FIFA back in the early days, where you get to see like players being like you could put this person on the transfer market directly, so people actively put bids in for them. It reminds me of that. I don't really remember for the last like 15 years that being a thing. Um, it's obviously there is a transfer market and there's a free agent list and what have you. But I think the scouting system is what's become the new normal in that, right? It's not it's not how football works
I think that
nowadays.
well, we're a big academy club, aren't we? We've always been fairly good at that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? We've got past academy products that have gone on to do really well. So I think there's a fact, I like both sort of elements. You know what I mean? I don't think we should rely heavily on one or the other. So there's a fine balance because obviously academy products can be uh, obviously cheaper and look more lucrative at the end if they do well. And
Yeah,
if you want a bit of morale, and I don't know, I think this is always a prime example of a good buy or a loan, I should say, um, to boost morale and to give a bit of quality. So uh, you know, a bit of both is ideal. And and as we we further we go, maybe up the league, and FFP is a big player in all of this as well. Can't just go out and fucking buy your way to a fucking championship like you could in the past. So we have to be a bit more shrewd, and I think where we do business is like that. So I'm happy with the way we're going, but I just think if we get promoted, it's more chips on the table, if you know what I mean.
yeah. It's like you said, Speakman's a bit of a gambler. It does feel like we're buying like the easiest example, because it's just like a tangible product for a performance thing. Cars. It's like buying a Golf or a just a small little hatchback and expecting it to win races and go up in value, or like just perform better, or have the right parts, or there's a hidden gem in there. Um, Rather than buying the big flashy Premier League ready players or former Premier League players for multiple millions and them not performing. Um, we mentioned it very briefly on the last podcast about Samed as well. Like we spent a couple of million on him. He's been injured when we bought him, and we don't know what he's like on the pitch. But there's a
Most
name,
of
and yeah,
he's decent because spending that much money on someone who's injured is madness, and we haven't even seen him yet. So
yeah. But to the polar opposite end, we spent that much money on him and he hasn't performed. But we spent barely anything on two players that have performed fantastically in Metham. Obviously, the Metham is not a purchase, but you got Metham and Brown, and who else has just come in and absolutely lit the world on fire? Wilson Isidore. Yeah, loans and are what are there, but there's options to buy, and they're proving they're worth the purchase. So maybe we look at the loan market with options to buy as our go-to, because there's a lot of investment and a lot of money getting thrown at players that are just getting a meal ticket basically for doing nothing. I know injuries are something you need to massively sympathise with and get the road to recovery right. Don't overbear them in training and what have you. But you need to play that smart. And if that person is a glass slipper, we, we just don't want to ruin our chances because we've spent X amount of millions on one player that's not played a single minute, when we could have got some or two other loanees or two other players that are basically filling those injury gaps up. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Um, whoa.
isn't that right, Davey?
Sure. And Andrew,
And Andrew,
there's this week. So, yeah, Stoke. Shall we move on to the Bristol game?
sure, mate. Why not? What a absolutely bizarre game that was. Um, First half we were
Well,
fantastic, right? I'll let you were
yeah,
there, mate. You described the entire game because yeah, first hand
you're right there.
experience.
First half, we dominated. Obviously, we should have scored a couple of times. I think the main one of the sticks was probably Wilson's header. Um, I think there was a shot blocked as well that he was at the other end, so I couldn't really see. But um, I just thought I thought it was just going to be another sort of West Brom type scenario. It's, but the second half was fucking abysmal. And I feel like we do that a bit too often. Like we'll have a good first half, and then something happens in the second half with I don't know. The other teams reacted to how we're playing, and we can't really change. Do you know what I mean? It takes us a while to sort of get our foot back in. I don't know what it is. It's maybe something to do with again, like I don't know, banging about the stadium being, but the atmosphere was fucking dead. You know what I mean? It was flat. It's Tuesday night. People don't work. Get it? You know, it was only 35,000, but I just felt the whole performance in the second half was way off the mark. They pressed really. Their game plan worked the second half. It pressed really high, put us under pressure. We couldn't get into a rhythm. Watson went off and injured, which didn't help, and he put me under.
Hmm.
He swapped me under on. And I just feel when that happened, I don't think Miena was totally comfortable with that. It didn't feel like it anyway. You know what I mean? So um, there was that sort of dynamic when when Patrick came on. And again, we looked at the bench and we were like, fucking hell, what's he going to do here? Because it was dry when they scored the football. And by the way, it was a messy goal.
Hmm.
It wasn't well constructed. It was fucking another sort of like, I think it was a set piece. Went in the corner. I can't remember actually. Got lobbed in, ping ponged around, and ended up with some fucking dude on the edge of the box who nearly fucking put it over the bar. You know what I mean? So their goal wasn't well thought out. But, I mean, they hung on in there. And that's all they were looking for.
Hmm.
Like every time I come to the stadium, they'll sit deep and fucking show pressure up and counter. Well, second half they do it. They press a little bit more in the second half. We should probably talk about the manager and pull the thing out because we did actually go in the first half.
Yeah.
The goal, well, Patrick Roberts came on, but this is where I don't like Joe, and that Joe was on the ball a bit too long. We were trying, we were just forcing it a little bit too much. I know they were sitting deep, like, and Patrick come on and didn't really do a lot until he scored, and fair play to him. I'll take someone playing shit, like, if they're going to fucking get an assist or a goal, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Sometimes you're not having a great game, or it's not happening. He scored, so he's got an assist last game and a goal this game, so can't really moan at Patrick. You know what I mean? But
No,
sometimes people come on and don't do anything. Do you know what I mean? So I'm happy for him because maybe he'll kick on after it was a good strike. You know what I mean? And she's got a good assist. So it was a chase. What was assist?
it
It
was a
was.
Sheesh. Yeah, Dilla
Uh,
Sheesh. You said was on the list.
his hair was putting me off. I thought like because he shaved all his fucking hair off. I thought
And he grew his
no,
beard out.
no.
Yeah.
So look, I've dug out to yourself as well, like for performances, but
Hmm.
fair play to both of them. One got a goal, and it was right at the death as well, mate. The stadium was partly empty. It was going to stop this time pretty much. So
It
it,
was
it,
dire atmosphere to be fair, but
well, we were flat, on that.
I mean,
I just feel like I don't know what it is, but we're fourth. There's, I don't think there's a. I get it. We've drawn quite a few, but we still need to be, positive about where we are. I think fourth's decent at Christmas. I never, you'd have took that at the start of the year, wouldn't you?
oh, absolutely. And to be fair, mate, we could be top. We could literally this weekend we could be top. If three results go our way, we're top of the league. It's like we're in the
Sheffield.
fight. We're in the fight for the automatics, and I think it's
Yeah.
where we've deserved to be, where we've earned the right to be. Obviously, we had a massive drawing spell in November, but we have had some tough results go our way. Um, Obviously, some slip ups, and yeah, we do have an absolutely quality, talented team that are on the ascendancy. So this is going to preemptively probably just like sound like I'm backpocketing an excuse just in case. But if we don't go up this season, there's absolutely no reason why we can't do it next season, as champions, because the teams that are potentially coming down are absolutely free falling. Um, if you look at the bottom four of the Premier League, I can't see any of them challenging next season in the Championship because they will look to a mass exodus. Um, but the three teams that are above us are they've still got the parachute payments. They're still the favourites to win the league. Every one of them, Sheffield United, Leeds, and Burnley, have all been put ahead of us before the start of the season as potential champions. It's yeah, Sunderland were never in that list, but the way we're performing, our quality in our squad, we're surprising some people in that start of season prediction list by how well we've proven our players, and our tactics under Labrie have surprised people a little bit. So yeah,
Only thing, like
oh,
that sort of sex of this, like if it was, if we don't go up and the likes of fucking Rig, Job, you know
yeah.
what I mean, getting fucking money moves,
So do you think it's do,
circus
yeah? So you think it's
go.
doom or bust if we don't go up then?
Nah, I just think I'd like to go up this season and keep the youth that we've got,
Mm,
and add. Hey, like if we don't go up, some of them will leave. It's not a rebuild, but it's another sort of like project to get the team where it should be.
yeah.
So I just still think we're playoff bound. I just I said at the start of the season. I just think it's like you said, the other sides of like Leeds are dominant on it. And got some really good players. Sheffield United, along we should have beat them. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm happy with the playoffs, but it's something in it. It's something to sort of
I th-
hope we get through.
yeah, I think
I love it all. I don't know what it is, but something that just irks me about like it's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, the draws that we've had is testament to that sort of like thought process. Is just we're drawing too many. We still be fucking winning.
I've just had a look at the league table. We can't be top this weekend. We're on 37 points. Sheffield's on 42 and Leeds on 41. I've missed out some results then because oh no,
That's just, I don't know. It's Swansea doing well as well, by the way. You know what I mean? Any most in ninth or something or eighth, I don't know.
ninth
And they've
on
had
27 points.
a couple of good results as well. You know what I mean? So they'll be going in confident.
Yeah,
Um, Actually, I don't know what he's got available and who's not available. No, Luke Warnheim wasn't very well. He wasn't even on the bench against Bristol, so apparently he's back in contention. But
mm,
um, let's just say he was available for the weekend.
yeah,
And
not bad.
let's get through Christmas, and then if Speakman's made a statement about these six are allowed to go, maybe there's guys coming for them, and maybe we're looking into that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. With the league position and where we're at right now, I think if we drop out of the playoffs by the end of the season, that will have been an absolute collapse. Um, we
So,
deserve at least top
I,
six. We deserve at least top six. Oh, I think we not deserve. It's probably the wrong phrase. It's more. What's the word I'm trying to look for? We're well within our rights to expect top six performance, top six in this league finish based on the performances.
fans' expectation versus club's ambition, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think we both want. I think obviously fans want to quicker than the club does, but um, I think the I think the club will be disappointed if we didn't make the playoffs minimum. I think there will be. I wouldn't. I don't think even if we don't. I think LeBree's here for another season, regardless. Like because he's done really well. Um, so I don't know. We'll see.
Be
And it's about talent. What the managers doing like that to that merry-go-round again. You know what I mean? You've
mm,
got to give people enough time. There is an amount of time where you go, you know what, you got to go, mate. You've been here 2, 3 years. It's not happening. I feel like Breeze just started on his journey, so I wouldn't want to see him gone, mate. You know what I mean? I'm
I,
not talking
I,
about it.
I don't I don't think that that's
But
even the general zeitgeist of conversation. There's no call for it at the minute. I know we've had a dip of November, but um,
I
actually no, there is a
think
call
the
for it. I
club,
have seen one person on Twitter basically say when Mowbray got sacked, we had X amount of points. When Beale got sacked, he had X amount of points. And Labrie now has had this amount of points, and it was like a spell of 8 games. Like they used their point status thing, and it's like, well, why isn't Labrie getting talked about? And the general conversation around that was league position. We're fourth. We're in the we're a couple of points off the top spot. It's not that difficult for us to climb back up within a game or two. Whereas before we were slipping and slipping.
you can see him manage the team. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can visibly see it. Um, whereas Bill didn't have a fucking clue. You know what I mean? So I don't know why I'm even putting Bale in this conversation. He's a fucking moron. So yeah, look, we're in a couple. We're fourth.
Yeah.
Tough game at the weekend. You know what I mean? Let's fucking get a result and keep in the fucking chase. That's all we can ask for. You know what I mean? As far as like, that like when you're listen to fans behind us and that, we were talking, we were like forward, forward, keep attack, mate. You know what I mean? It's a tactical game now. You know what I mean? It's not like fucking kicking rush like kids. I was thinking like, look, and people just leaving in the fucking droves. It was like, I always stay at the end. You know what I mean? And Patty scored in the fucking 90th minute, so
Mm-hmm.
the problem with Sunderland fans sometimes is patience, mate. We haven't got any. We haven't got any patience. Like we want tackle football. We want goals. You want it now. Football is not like that. It's a long old season. You've got to fucking be realistic.
Yeah. Okay.
What I will say about fucking fans' justification was the referee, mate, was atrocious. He was honestly, he was
Can,
absolutely atrocious.
can we just start our
He was.
podcast of a referee review, because that is going to be. I'm pretty sure we've said the referee's been shit at least
Oh,
12 times so
he
far,
was
and we're what 20 odd games in.
so linesman. Lads, you look about fucking 80-year-old. Honestly, I don't know where they dig these fucking relics up to ref the championship games. He was so far behind play that there was a handball at one point. It was a blatant handball. The linesman looked at it. He let it carry on.
Yeah.
The ref could see as well, by the way. And then I think there was a penalty show for us. And a time wasting as well. It took him ages to get grip of fucking Bristol time wasting. And he was doing it like really near the end. I was like, this has been going on for like fucking 30 minutes, mate. It was just bad. It was just, I don't know. I just the refereeing standard. I don't think I've seen the ref yet that I haven't known about. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just shit.
The idea of a referee is to one. The first thing the referee, or the first thing I think a referee should be doing, is protecting the player's safety. Second is to ensure the game is active and maintained. So player safety and then active maintain game. If the players are proactively slowing the game down to the point where the game is not being played at all, i.e., they're holding on to it for a throw for like 30 seconds when there's like 6 options, that's a yellow card. If their goalkeeper is holding on to the ball for more than the 6 second rule, which has been ignored for decades now, it needs to be penalised. And free kicks taking way too long, corner kicks taking way too long. Anytime the ball goes out of play, they just slowly walk from it. It needs to be kicked out of the game. I know it's natural because, well, you're
Yeah,
winning, you're 1-0 up. Every second counts, I
he got
guess.
he got a bit of it near the end, but it was too late. Like, you know what I mean? Well, you equalised. We should come on, ref.
Right. I'm
You
gonna
made
ask,
the game more
gonna ask you a question about time wasting though. When was the last time you saw a
fun.
player get sent off for time wasting? Not just a yellow card, like actually sent off for it.
Remember?
And that's
No.
why. Because nobody wants that. This referee reputation sends people off for time wasting. I think they should thrive for it. That as a referee will get your name in the books and climb you up with the Premier League. Because you're trying to get the game going. You're trying to make the game entertaining. Well, not you're trying to, but like you're proving that you're following the rules properly, and that's what I
Yeah.
think referees would ideally want their brand to be. We are doing the right by the game and the players, rather than yeah, whatever, crack on, lads.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, refs be refs, I guess. What I tell you what, I'm gonna have a dig at. This sounds strange, right? And
okay.
not well. You may think I'm being dense, but ball boys, mate. The fucking ball boys that we have. There's a couple of times this season, like, are these fucking? You know what I mean? There's a sort of all these kids. I don't want to go around down the fucking labeling them route, but they just seem slow. You know, I don't know if you remember a couple of seasons ago when Marino was managing and fucking ball boy got an assist. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
Shoot the ball at the fucking player. I don't know which team it was, and he basically set the goal up because he was quick thinking. Always mate, look like the fucking space. I'm like, we're behind here, and they're just like leaving. Someone needs to like, I don't know, treat this like it you know how important it is to
Hmm.
I get time wasting not giving the opposition the ball, but when it's our team and we're fucking behind, you need to fucking use your love. Do you know what I mean? I know the kids, but let's be honest. If you want them to do a good job, they're not just there because it's a free match. Do you know what I mean? I just think whoever's running them needs to like set the standard out and go, look, you're a ball boy, yeah. It might not sound important or look important, but it is. You know what I mean? There needs to be some like match sort of like
Yeah.
nous about
So,
us winning and losing. Do you know what I mean?
So I don't know if it's the same, mate, but I've done the Quids for Kids ticket selling, and I've done a ball boy in a couple of games in the early 2000s, so the Quinn Phillips era. So I know what the training and the thing is there, and I can tell you exactly what it is. You will get paid a couple of quid an hour, and all you need to do is when the ball goes out, collect the ball, give it to the nearest player. That's the training. There's no amp up, check what the game score is, give it prefer that. There's none of that. It is literally get the ball, give it to the nearest player. That's all the training is, and that's that. Maybe they're not actually just switched on and going, oh shit. They just want to be at the game and enjoy watching the game. They don't specifically want to be there for the job that they're
I'm
hired to
like,
do. Does that make sense? It's like this. Um, the
yeah, they're like kids, but you know what I mean?
yeah,
Kids is kids, and you get these boundaries, like, but they need to be told about the importance of you know,
the
this is a
point.
fucking league game. And if we're behind, you need to be fucking running around and picking the ball up, not just sitting there waiting for the crowd to get
I,
involved.
I, I
Doing some
mean,
enthusiasm.
that would be ideal, basically, if the person that was giving them the briefing before the game amped them up a little bit. Because I know that
Yeah.
they're literally just sat there waiting for the ball to go out of play. That's all they're looking for. It's like a lino looking for a player ahead of the last man or the ball going out of the line. They're looking for one specific thing, and if they're not enjoying the rest of the game, that then so it's
Do you
just
remember
giving
when
them.
Eden Hazard,
Yeah, he
ball
punched the
boy, because
ball
he was
boy.
keeping out? Yeah. You know, like, but I want my ball boys to be like, right, we're winning here. I'm just going to be right
All right.
awkward cunt, not get the ball. I just feel like maybe they need to be briefed clearly before they go and do the job,
I
because
think
I just feel like might be annoying me. Like,
I don't think they're that important to the overall flow of the game, but like you said, they were a bit. Like, some of them were a bit slow today, but I say today, a couple of days ago. Um, you can't really blame the ball boys for not enjoying it because the rest of the fans didn't either.
yeah, it's got more. So, I mean, maybe he has got better on the match. I don't know, but I just want them to be more enthusiastic. That's all I'm saying,
Yeah,
and a bit more knows of the match score. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So I'll leave it at that.
fair enough, fair enough. I haven't really had my say on the Bristol City game, so I'll keep it very brief because we've talked about it in bits and bobs here and there. Um, uh, I think the result flatters Bristol City than more than it does Sunderland, but the fact that we were able to rescue it with Oshish and Roberts connecting together, we absolutely bombarded them and peppered them for the last 25 minutes. From like minute 75 onwards, it was only us ever going to score if there was going to be another goal. And I think,
It was about the wake up, and then the scoring made us wake up. I guess you know what
yeah,
I mean. It
and
was like
yeah, it's that kind of why do we need to be woken up mid game that I'm a little bit worried about more than the other way around. I want us to go heavy in the first 10 15 minutes, then settle around for the 15 to 40-minute mark, and then go heavy again before half time. Because that's when teams are the most alert and vulnerable, as in most alert at the start or vulnerable at the start and towards the end of the game. You're just trying to work yourselves out. Why not just try and shake it up a bit and change where you put your maximum intensity? Because Bristol City were a prime example of it. Stoke were, I wouldn't say, no, Stoke did do it quite a lot, but a lot of teams come up to the stadium light now and park the bus, and we're peppering the crap out of their goal. Actually, yeah, Bristol City first half, absolute prime example. Just getting bodies in the way of the players, so they've got the tightest angles to aim at, and it takes a wonder strike. And sometimes we do get them, but we need to work out how to stop teams sitting so deep against us, because when they do that, all we're doing is shooting into a brick wall. So yeah,
I think it's. I just think it's boring, mate. Like just
we could.
teams sitting and defending. I'm like, oh my god!
It's,
It's like, I want to see football. It's more tactical now anyway, and like it's across the board. Playing out from the back, possession based. You know, what I mean, it's you're never going to see like fucking Matisse or Gascoigne or fucking. Do you know what I mean? Or Ronaldinho run through people. Like it's just not the way it is anymore. It's very very tactical. So
and I get it.
um,
I absolutely do get it, but it's I don't know. There's if it's purely tactical, all you need to do is do a counter tactic. That makes logical sense, and I think Labrie is a quite a smart man in that. It's just getting his players to understand it at the same time. Because like again, the Bristol City goal, we were peppering them for the last half. But I say 25 minutes, but it was, yeah, from the 75-minute through to the full time whistle, we should have scored two or three in that spell. And luckily one of them actually does end up in the back of the net. But we are we're dominant in a lot of the games, but we're not getting the maximum points now. Whereas at the start of the season, we were a little bit off the pace, but we were getting 3 points. So, like you said, it's balanced. But ultimately, all we want to do is see more points, see us win and climb to the top. Because That's the nature of every football fan, I guess. Want to be the best. Fucking hell, that's so basic. Um, I don't know
So,
the Bristol. Yeah, sorry. Just to finalise with the Bristol game, uh, a point for me. I'm disappointed with because I felt like that was there for the taking. We should have had 6 points to talk about in this podcast. Four's good. Don't get me wrong, but yeah,
our
good.
lads had it at the end when nearly won. I mean, they
Mm,
could have, would have, should have. You know, want to bang on about that. Like, yeah,
yeah, like I said, we should have scored 2 or 3 in that spell. Um, and 3 points would have been the right result, but que sera
yeah,
sometimes, I
hope.
guess. Yeah. Um. All right. Should we talk about Swansea, the upcoming
Yeah,
game?
sort of Swansea.
Do
Go.
we have another game as well in the
Go.
midweek?
I don't know when the next one game is. I'm bad for this, you know. I should fucking know, but I never. I only, like look at the fixtures a couple of weeks before or the week before.
Well, I do it live. Sunderland fixtures between this and the next podcast is Swansea, and
Yeah,
then we've got to wait till the 22nd. So we've got just the one game to talk about, which is good. So thanks to the powers that be, Bing, the win probability for Swansea is 35.2. The rest is a draw, and Sunderland are 34.2. So they're putting Swansea as slight favourites at the Liberty. Is that something that
fair enough.
surprises you a bit?
Not really. I feel like we've drew a fair amount of games. I think if you look at the overall form guide there on the up and win, we're sort of like middle of the roadish, I guess. So yeah, I get their favourites. You know, they are playing well, and I think it'll be a tough game.
One thing I think we won't do, and we haven't done a lot this season, is lose. We've only lost 3 games. You got to remember that. It's just we're getting too many draws. I think you mentioned it earlier on, the West Brom style of play where it's a point's enough, and it's clearly not. So is a point enough
Mm,
against Swansea away from home, or like would you be okay with it
yeah,
coming into next week's podcast if we got a point from like today?
would. If you got a point, I'd be like, okay, fair enough. I'd be happy with that. Honestly, I would be happy with that. Like
Mm.
people like, you know, we need to win. You've got to look at how they're playing and how we're playing. And at the minute, a lot fucking, of course, he wants to win, but I just feel like I would definitely be happy with a point.
Um,
You know what I mean? I know
what?
it's just keep us, you know what I mean? It's keep us there. Even though like the Bristol City game felt like a loss, really, like at least we didn't lose and we got that point, and we just, you know, it keeps us in the fucking top 6, which is what you want. So another point, yeah, obviously you want to win, but I'll be happy with that.
I'd be okay with it. I wouldn't be too upset. It depends on how it unfolds as well. Because we've had some games where, like you said, the Bristol City game where we've drew. I'm more happy that we didn't lose it, than upset that we didn't win, if that makes sense. Because we went behind, and I don't know. It's just that constant lapse of judgment from some of our players to let that be slippy. So I'm just going to quickly go over their form guide at home, just their home games. Okay, so they haven't played at home since the end of November, where they drew 2-2 to Portsmouth. They lost 3-4 to Leeds. They beat Watford 1-0, and they lost to Millwall 1-0. And the game before that was at the start of October, a 0-0 draw against Stoke City. They've rarely played at home, but in the last 5 home games, they've won 1, drew 2, lost 2. I wouldn't be that scared about to get that.
No, but it's like I said with every team. Like I feel like this league's really tight, so you can never underestimate. And the only team I thought was shit were Oxford. You know what I mean? That's the only team I thought, yeah, these are terrible. But the other teams like had something about them. shape, you know, good defensively, good on the counter. So, I, I haven't watched Swansea this season, so I don't know. So, I don't know.
I've watched. I haven't
Well,
like they said that. It's a team you're not really that overly interested in, but I've watched a couple of their highlights, and like you said, they do look quite organised. They don't score and they don't concede as generally their games are not goal fests. They are tight affairs where a moment of brilliance happens. So maybe we've got the better talent to have that moment of brilliance. Um, yeah. Was it? There you go. In their games, in their 20 games, they've had exactly 40 goals. So
mm,
21 for and 19 against. For Sunderland, we've had 45, 46. Why can't I do maths? We've had 44,
pretty much.
44 goals. But pretty much the same, but we've scored 29 and conceded 15. So again, using numbers to help back up a little bit of a stat or a mental picture of what you think is going to happen is I guess how people lose a lot of money on the bookies, right? Uh, what's your prediction for the game? That's where I was trying to go.
Um, I mean, I don't want to sound ignorant, so I'll say Sunderland 1-0, even though I said it would be a draw. But like, I feel like a prediction that obviously I want us to win, but I think it'll be a tight game. Like, I'm 1-0 Isidore.
Okay, classic. Um,
Classic, right?
yeah, I'm gonna be the contrarian, I guess. I think it's gonna be another draw, sadly, and I'm gonna go 1-1. I think we'll take the lead, and they'll probably level it to some bullshit referee decision that we'll never agree with because that feels the typical right now. So yeah, I'm gonna go for uh, a Job goal, and uh, I don't really know the Swansea players that well, so yeah, Swansea to level it like in the 85th minute.
Well, I'd say Swansea 8-5 for the win. We're 13-8, draws 9-4.
Yeah, so it's close.
Uh, yeah, fairly close. I think I'm doing Davies over here.
I know.
Um,
Thanks, Davey. Cheers, Davey. I'd be ecstatic with a win against Swansea, regardless of how we get it. We'll do a bit of deconstructing and what have you in the next podcast around it, but just the one game to look at and analyze. I will ask you one last question. Which player do you think is going to make the biggest impact in the game? Obviously, you got iced over the goal, but we've highlighted a couple of players around. I think Job needs to step up a bit more to prove his what's it called? Not
uh,
his brand.
maybe you could, I don't know, maybe his assist or a goal from him. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like Dan Ballard was our best player against Bristol.
Yeah.
He looked good, mate. So I think, again, I think it'd be more defensive sort of standouts. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
I feel like the home games, we look a lot better. Yeah, I'll go with Ballard. We do well.
Yeah.
Back line.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I think the control in the middle of the park is the most important in most of these games, and we lose it at key moments sometimes. So I'd like to see just a bit more leadership in the middle of the park. So I want Job. I know Dan Neil's our captain, but I'd like it to step up further up the pitch to Job, so it gets everybody else pushing higher up. Um,
We'll look back to 2-1. Job's going to score.
there you go. I like the idea of that, mate. Yeah, just get. To be fair, mate, I'd be happy with like a 19-0, but uh, yeah, I just want to see how players try more. I know sometimes it just looks a little bit slow and cathartic, but maybe it's the weather, maybe it's the travel, maybe it's whatever. But it,
Stadium's fucking up full,
yeah,
mate. We don't play as well.
yeah, it's you got to just think.
Population.
It's a 2 hour performance.
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome. All right, like and subscribe.